Hey everybody, welcome to NFT Hype. I got an old contact of mine, Bonz. We've known each other for, I don't know, going over 2 years now, back in the EOS days. We're talking of tribal books. I know you were one of the first EOS guys to kind of move over to Wax and become part of that community. How's things going on that side, and what are you up to now, man?
Well, it's going great, man. Thanks for having me. First of all, I'm glad to be here, talking about NFTs. I'm stoked to see what you're doing with Big Mike and this whole NFT hype thing. I'm loving the NFT community and Wax. Yeah, and so like you said, I kind of like came over to Wax with Prospectors, and was I think one of the first major like releases on Wax, and so that was sort of my first, that was sort of when I really got sort of acclimated into the Wax community, and I love it. I love, like we were just talking about before we went on, Wax is great because it's a little bit of a more of a community kind of than what's going on EOS, and there's actually things to be excited about. So yeah.
Yeah, when you say things to be excited about, I mean, me and you had a conversation just before this call, and you're talking about like the space in general. It's a gaming space, a art space. It's different than other projects, I guess. It's got that gaming and art aspect to it, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's more like right up my alley.
Yeah.
I'm into games, and now especially with these games that are incorporating NFTs. I know you're excited about Blankos too, and I don't want to go too far down the Blankos rabbit hole, but yeah, with that beta starting about 3 weeks from now, I can't wait. And so yeah, speaking of NFTs for games, that's what brings me here today. Tribal books,
Oh yeah.
actual
So
NFTs with utility. I'm all about it.
okay, so talk about Tribal Books, man. How did you get involved in the project? A little bit about the background.
Sure, man. So, as you know, the game was started by the Weekend blockchain development team. So it's the same team that produced Prospectors. So they specialize in on-chain game development. So this is the Tribal Books is the second big project created by the Weekend team. So just like Prospectors, it's a free-to-play online digital collectible game, but this will be more of a step-by-step card game, and it's actually going to be on mobile. So when it releases, it will be on, like Android and in the App Store, which is really cool, because I think, that's going to open up, make it, just available to a lot more people, I think.
Oh, really? So it's going to be on the App Store.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah. So when the game releases, it'll be a mobile, it's going to be a mobile game. Yeah. And it's
So I
designed,
know, and I
designed
know
for
you said
mobile.
you haven't played it because the game is still in development, but you must have had some concepts shared with you. And what kind of game is it, really?
So it's a player versus player game, and it's player versus players having battles. It's going to basically randomly match you up with an equally matched competitor, and it's sort of a turn-based game. So it's kind of cool. There's going to be like a map that you're that the that you'll see. It's actually generated right before each turn. I mean each match. So basically, the players will combine like a limited amount of your cards before the round, and you'll grab one of your tribal books, and the books are what contains the magical forces. So you basically have these cards that have moves, and then you also have these magic moves that you can do, and you'll basically come up with a strategy before each round, and pick out a deck before each round, and then play against another player. There's actually even some other there's possibly even going to be like you could play like 1 against 1 or 2 against 2. There might even be some different sort of like gameplay things that come out of it, but essentially the game events take place on the map from a start point, and everyone will start from the same point, and a lot of the map will sort of stay invisible until you sort of unlock parts of the map, and it's going to be really cool. Like it's basically essentially you're moving through this map to find NFTs, like basically you're chasing for treasures and magical forces, and the map's going to have different sort of crossroads where you could end up going in one section of the map, and it could be more or less like a dead end, but then from that dead end might be some rare sort of artifact that you battled your way to get to this artifact, and so basically your players are like leveling up the whole time. So you basically collect these NFTs, and you're going to have your magical books. And as you level up, you're going to gain like experience points, and those experience points essentially allow you to use like greater magic from your magic books. So of course, there's two types of NFTs. Every card, of course, is an NFT, but then also the book itself, where you like store all your magic, and you're building up this book that's also an NFT, and that book that contains all your magical forces, that book can be traded, as an NFT with all that magic sort of within it. So you can imagine players will be like, building up, have these different books, and all the books too have their own rarity, and the books are also associated with like a different tribe. So the map will have these various like sort of at the end of the maps are these like the heart cities, they're calling them. So you're working your way towards these different heart cities, and each one represents a different tribe, and each book is sort of connected to that. So there's probably like various different magic, and of course they can be like leveled up. The book itself can be like leveled up depending on how rare it is.
Oh yeah.
So the books will end up being like valuable, in and of themselves.
Now, is this the same team that worked on Prospectors?
Yeah, exactly. So the team is called Weekend Blockchain Development. They develop blockchain Prospectors, which of course a little bit about Prospectors. For anyone who doesn't know, it was the first MMORTES economic strategy game that was entirely on chain. So it's for anyone who doesn't know, it's a game based around gold mining, which has in itself an entire in-game economy that has to totally work in balance. Using the PGL token, which is exchangeable for the in-game gold. And so, and it's pretty elaborate as far as developing an entire economy that's going to stay in balance, and so, so that should give people, a little bit of an idea of the quality of team and developers that are developing this game. These guys know what they're doing. They know how to make a good game that's well balanced, and I have a lot of faith that this is going to be a good game.
I was just gonna say they're probably going to bring a ton of experience to this, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they have one developer, Andrew. This guy's like a machine. He can code so fast, and these guys have great artists, and they do have a ton of blockchain game experience, obviously, but also they hired some new developers and a new artist specifically to do the art for this game. So they brought on a new artist who's working exclusively for Tribal Books.
Okay.
So and all the art is done in house, and all the developing is done in house. And those guys are like machine coding machines over there. They do great work. It's pretty impressive.
When you look at Prospectors, it's like what they tried to solve there was very ambitious, like a real-time, I don't know what you said a whole bunch of letters, but
yeah, MMORPG. So it's like massive multiplayer online real time, right? That's like the classic, right? But then so ES would be the economic strategy. So that like it's basically a new type of massive multiplayer online real time game. And of course the fact that it's every actual move is on chain.
Yeah.
Like makes it totally unique, and obviously as you can imagine poses incredible level of challenges and difficulty. And then not to mention the fact that you're trying to basically create from scratch a free market economy,
right,
and have every aspect of it be useful, every resource is needed to do something in the game, and they tried to mimic real life as close as possible, and for it to be successful in that, the fact that it works and that there's an actual thriving economy and people who have businesses within the game that are actually like, a profitable business, just like you would do in real life. You level up your businesses, right. You rent these plots and you can actually, theoretically turn a profit by playing them. It's an amazing feat to be able to do that,
Yeah, I think we had a building there for a while, and it was cranking out some, I don't know what it was. I wasn't the one playing, but my partner was. And yeah, she was making some money off of it. That was pretty cool. But I agree with you. It took a lot of development to get there. And I guess they're taking their knowledge and moving it to another gamification that's probably Not simpler, but definitely along the same lines.
Yeah, and I mean it'll be, I'm sure, every bit as sort of complex, but just in a totally different way. And of course, development on Prospectors will totally continue. Prospectors is to a point where it's totally sort of self-sustaining. It's new worlds. They just launched the Boomtown, the new Boomtown. So and there'll be more lands launched in the future. So development on Prospectors will of course always continue. Um, but yeah,
Kudos
they're
to the team
expanding.
for getting this far. Like that was amazing achievement, to be honest.
It really is. It's been a couple of years, and you think like for a very long time it was like the number one rated game, I think, on EOS and Wax. I think for a long time, and I think just the fact that kind of like we were talking before the call, the EOS community, it's like there's not many of us OGs kind of left hanging, so it's like if I think as EOS continues to grow, maybe in the future, and as more people actually come into the blockchain gaming, I think people will see a well-developed game. I think Prospector still has a bright future in front of it, but I think with
OGs.
the OGs, EOS, Chestahedron, it's still in my heart, man. EOS is still in my heart. But yeah, Wax is doing great things, and Wax, by obfuscating all the technical things like CPU, like the Wax Hot wallet in itself was just like a
Yeah.
great technical achievement, making it so easy for noobs to basically like no pointers to just start playing a game, to download a free wallet and get a free account, even in and of itself is huge, and just a game changer from EOS in general. So yeah, I think that and of course Wax being really focused on gaming and NFTs, it made perfect sense that Tribal Books would choose Wax to launch an NFT based game as opposed to EOS. And I think they'll find a lot more success on Wax, and have more of a built-in sort of audience with all the people on Wax that are already playing NFT games and who are already collecting NFTs.
Yeah.
And of course it has a lot of it has to do with the NFT standard that the Atomic Assets guys, or the Pink Network, I guess I should call them, guys, Jonah and Fabian. Atomic Assets is awesome, as and so having that available really makes a big difference. And so of course Tribal Books will be using the Atomic Asset standard, and yeah, so we'll
Oh,
be
okay. That's good to
yep.
know.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, we'll be launching our pack sale on November 11th.
November 11th. Okay, great day.
Coming up
Remembrance
fast.
Day. I think it's the Remembrance Day, at least in Canada, I believe. I don't know about the US.
Oh, right. Okay. Remembrance Day, right? I remember
Around
that.
there, anyways.
Yep.
So let's get to questions about what collectors care about, what gamers care about. First off, let's get to what the collectors' concerns. What's the supply?
So the pack sale will be a total of 7,000 packs. That will be a total of 2,000 starter and 2,000 booster packs and 1,500 legendary packs. So the starter packs are 10 cards of different rarities, a couple rare cards, a couple unique cards, and different probabilities of the mythical cards. Then there's a legendary pack, which is going to come with 10 cards of different rarities. And of course they're all chosen randomly. And that has one epic card guaranteed. And then there's going to be the booster pack, where you're going to get just 3 assets of different varieties. That's going to be like the cheap one. We don't have pricing. I can't give you today. I think the team hasn't quite figured that out yet. But I do know that the sale will be in Wax. So it will be whatever the dollar equivalent in Wax. So that's one thing. I think that's I think a lot of people, as have gone through a bunch of these pack sales. The whole thing with credit cards, and there's been problems in the past. I think they're conscious of that, and they're trying to make sure that the sale goes smooth. And I think it's better for the Wax community and better for the Wax token if we can be buying things using Wax. And so, yeah, and then of course the other item that you can get is the actual Tribal Book of Forces, right? So the Tribal Book of Forces is sort of where your magic gets stored. So without the magic in it, it's a very it's a very basic sort of NFT. But then you're basically going to be able to start adding adding to it, so you're building up this NFT with these, magical forces, sort of like leveling it up. So
Yeah.
of course it's going to get more and more valuable. So of course that those books, which of course everybody will want to play the game, there's only 1,500 of those sold in the pack sale. So of course, if you're playing the game, you're gonna want a few books, and
Yeah.
so of course there'll be subsequent sales in the future where there'll be next generation items introduced. But as of now, these are the items that are made, and they won't be actually reproduced in the future. So this is basically the OS1, so to speak, of the tribal books.
Okay, so 7,000 packs. How many on average in each one, or is obviously there's going to be different numbers for different packs?
Yeah, so there's like I said, the booster card is, the booster pack is only 3 cards.
Okay.
The legendary has 10 cards, and the starter pack has 10 cards as well. And
so about 8 cards on average.
There are actually numbers, and I'm not sure if I have it in front of me, but there's a specific number of each level of card, like the rarity. There's common cards, there's rare cards, unique, epic, legendary, mythical, and there's a fixed number of each of those. But I don't have that number right in front of me. I wish I did, but it's basically like a fixed number, but yet the numbers aren't known at this point because the real numbers will only be known after the unpacking, because of course it's random.
I did some fairly simple calculations, and it looks like the supply is going to be actually quite low in relative amounts. So
it is. It does seem like that, yeah. Especially when you take into account, I feel like there's only a few hundred of some of the more rare kinds, and maybe even less of like the mythical. So I feel like they tried to keep it somewhere around, something along the lines of like, for people who are familiar with like the OS1 GPK set, the mythical will be almost like the equivalent of the collector's edition CE, where there are only going to be, maybe a small handful total. And, the legendary, so they're basically, they're pretty rare.
Yeah, it sounds like it from the numbers wise. We'll get full official numbers closer to the release. I'm sure your team will do that. Now, so you said, I want to go back to the art, and I have a preview here which you shared with me. Why don't we just talk about the artist a little bit more, and also talk about just a little bit
let's take a look at what the cards look like, and I can talk a little bit about sort of some of the aspects of the cards.
Yeah, sure. So here you go. There's one of them. Are you able to see it?
Yeah. Yeah, that was one that was one I shared with you. It was kind of a gift. That's one of the more like rare ones. It was kind of like the fire was kind of moving in the background on the GIF, at least what it was when I tried to share it with you. And if you could bring up the one that has sort of the descriptions, like it shows kind of what the symbols are.
Yeah, I'll bring that one up as well.
Yeah, so the cards, of course, will be like sort of color coded. The color is on the card frame, and like the color will dictate the rarity. So of course there's rare, unique, epic, legendary, mythical, and they're all going to be sort of designated by which color the border of the card is. So when you're sort of flipping through your deck, you'll be putting together your deck, and you'll be able to easily identify which ones are how rare. And of course, obviously, the more rare they are, the sort of the more of a trump sort of card that it'll be.
Yeah, look at that.
That's the one. Perfect. Exactly. So as you can see, there is sort of a lot of sort of aspects to it. There's, every card is going to have an element aspect, which is like, the earth forces, water and wind and earth. And, each card will also have an energy aspect to it. A description, of course, the border, which will show, the rarity. There's also going to be sort of like the type of card that it is. So like some cards will be, of course, for movement, and some cards will be basically to make sort of like an obstacle for your opponents. So you're basically like trying to stop them somehow on the path. And one card is sort of an obstacle remover for you. So when you've been like stopped on the path, you can. So when you're putting together your deck, of course, you're going to want to like take all these things into account. So like before each sort of round, you put together your deck. So you're going to kind of like look at your cards and sort of like come up with a little strategy. You're going to want to maybe get like one of each of some certain kinds of cards. And then of course, after that move, if you failed, basically you'll want to adjust your strategy and maybe pick out some different cards for the next sort of round.
Yeah, that's dope. And here we have some other graphics I'm going to put up on the screen. Where we'll see some of the. Obviously, your asset sale is coming on in November there. Yeah, this is cool, man. So what kind of collectors do you think are going to be interested in this stuff, man?
Well, I think probably the target audience is people who already sort of play, who are into sort of like turn-based games. I know there's a whole, it's just a huge number of people. You think of like, it probably started with, back in the day with like games like Magic the Gathering and things like that, where people would actually gather to use physical decks of cards, and then of
Now, I
course
never played that. Did you play that?
no, I never did. I kind of missed that. I think it was like, I'm a little old. I don't think that really came out until, I was kind of past that sort of, but not to say if there's any age, I'm sure there's plenty of every age that plays it, but no, I sort of missed that boat. But I also missed Cogs. Cogs is another thing that like people remember from their child, but I totally missed it. Like I never owned a Cog or anything, but I do have the Cogs NFTs. But
yeah, so do I.
Yeah. So it's sort of like a card game, but of course it's digital and online, and so of course you combine that with what we know and love about NFTs, which is true ownership, and the fact that we'll be able to sell them or trade them with anyone on the planet, and also sort of the play to earn aspect, where you can play the game and sort of level up these NFTs or find NFTs in the game and be able to trade them. And so, I tend to think that there's games, like say like, I know Dark Country, and I'm not really sure exactly how Alien Worlds works. I haven't really looked into that, but I know that's like an actual game. So it's along the lines of these newer sort of NFTs that have utility that can be used in a game. And so I think that anybody who's into sort of like that, that sort of type of game where it's turn based and where you can actually gather items, and I think anybody who's into that would probably be into this game. And another thing about the team, you were kind of asking me about the team earlier. So some of the team actually sort of split off, like the Dark Country team. Some of those guys used to sort of work with Prospectors, and I know the CEO of that, Ole, is like good friends with Nazar. He tells me they're like drinking buddies, and out in where they live in Ukraine. So there was sort of a connection there, and those guys went on to go make a really cool NFT card game. Dark Country is sweet. I think the artwork is awesome in that game. Like I haven't personally like played it or gotten too into it, but I have checked out some of the NFTs, and I saw the pack opening, like their graphic for the pack opening. I thought was really cool and unique. And I love the artwork for it too. I'm just really into that,
So, the artwork's good. It's really good.
Yeah, they got really good artists for that. So so I give them a lot of credit, and I think that it's going to be similar to that sort of the same type of people who are into those type of games. And maybe like Splinterlands is another one where you're sort of playing with sort of a card based. But I'm not too familiar with Splinterlands either. But but of course it's a totally new and unique game, so there's really nothing to really specifically compare it to. But I think that comparing it to those sort of games that are I think it's really just the start of what's going to end up being a whole genre of NFTs. These games that are sort of collect, and of course, like we were talking about at the beginning of the call, of course, Blankos, where you're buying an NFT, but that's the actual character you're going to play with in the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be we all know it's going to be huge. It's going to basically change the way that games are played, and true ownership and NFTs will be incorporated into probably all successfully moving forward once this model is like really proven out.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see the mobile app, to be honest. Are you going to be able to trade from there and stuff? Trade your books and your characters and your cards and stuff?
Absolutely. Of course. I mean, as you know, you can log into Atomic Assets right now using, the Wax Tile wallet, of course, is mobile. So you're able to, log onto the Atomic Hub using the Wax Tile wallet. I log on using my iPhone, and it's a great mobile experience. Like I was actually surprised how clean it looks and how you're able to really, you can navigate the marketplace, and the whole thing could be done on mobile.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing as sweet as like a nice dedicated mobile app with a good mobile experience on there, like a good user experience, rather than using Safari or whatever browser you have. But yeah, totally agree with you. Our technologies are very mobile friendly.
Yeah, I mean, especially when they make a mobile app, of course. So I think that's one thing that, to kind of get back to Prospectors, like, so Prospectors is primarily a PC game, but of course you can play it on mobile. Like, I have Token Pocket. I can play, through the browser on Token Pocket, I can play Prospectors, right? But because it's like not designed for mobile as of yet, it's like small, like some of the words, I'm like hard, it's like, it's not designed for mobile, right? So the team is actually designing, I think this is released publicly. If not, like, I'm dropping a little bit of a nugget here, but they're working on a mobile version of Prospectors.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so there will be a mobile Prospectors available at some time in the near future here.
Oh man, I wish I had my old breaking news button. Anyways, I'll have to get my producer to work on that. Yeah, so talk about okay, so I was just going to get into that, future plans and releases. So what about Tribal Books? Are you guys already planning a version 2, or are you waiting to see how this
Yeah,
goes?
so
Or
there's gonna be a lot of like the development is gonna come out in a lot of stages. It's very similar to Prospectors, where they released the white paper, and they had sort of this grand vision of developing this game out, and things like the railroading, connecting the worlds, and these things all take time. And so it's very similar with Tribal Books. There's a really extensive gameplay, and the way the maps will expand, and all that's going to sort of take time. It's going to be released in stages. Of course, the game from when it comes out, of course, the development will continue, and there'll be continuous. There'll be elements that'll be added on to the game afterwards.
okay.
And to touch on that a little bit too, I know we talked a little bit about the tokenomics as far as the numbers go in the sale. Another sort of interesting thing that I know is coming is an aspect of there'll be like a type of utility token that will be sort of utilized by the game called mana, like a mana token, right? And it will be, it's a sort of, it's going to be like a mechanism to where you can be like burning your cards,
Yeah.
and generating mana, which then, you can use that in the game. And also I think there's going to be an element of like trading in those mana for like higher level or more unique cards, or more rare cards, or sort of like exclusive cards that weren't available in the pack sale. So yeah, there's of course like, plenty of development that's going to continue coming for the game. And of course when it launches, it's going to be a very similar to Blancos or even Prospectors. It's going to be there's going to be the initial game, which is going to be well thought out and well developed, but then of course they're going to just continue making it better, of course.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think the team is a good, reliable team. We've known them for a while, so they're a known entity. I'm looking forward to this release, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you having me on and taking the time to talk about it.
No problem, Bonds. Where can we catch up with Tribal Books? And do you guys have a Telegram, a website, a Twitter?
Absolutely, man. We actually have all those things. I recommend everyone who's interested in the game go sign up on the Telegram. There's going to be contests and sort of giveaways. So of course the Telegram is t.me Tribal Books. Easy enough. And follow us on Twitter too, just at Tribal Books, and the website is tribalbooks.io. And there's going to be some pack giveaways, and of course we're going to. I talked to you about doing some live pack rips too, so maybe I'll come back and join you for that, or we'll see you online on NFT Hype and NFT on your show, and do some live pack rips, and hopefully do some giveaways as well. Be able to hook up your community with some packs.
Oh yeah, I think they'd love that. All right, sounds good, man. Well, thanks for coming on again,
Yeah,
Bonds.
brother.
Peace, brother,
Great,
and we'll see
great
you again
talking to you,
soon.
man. Great talking to you. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate
Cheers.
it.